stupidest homework ever. I mean, why can't they just leave everything alone and let the kids just add the numbers up and get the answer and be done with it? They have to. They have to make them think this ridiculous formula and
hey, listen, I agree
round
with
up to the nearest number and comparison, and it's ridiculous. I can't even sit there and help her with her homework.
No, because even if you got the right answer, she still has to be able to explain it the way they learn it in class.
Exactly. You know? Absolutely. She did homework tonight, and I was like, "You're on your own, kid." She's like, "Well, it's right. I know it's right." She says, "I just have to explain it a little bit further." I was like, "Do what you got to do."
I've always, I just the other day I was talking to my daughter-in-law's friend, who's a teacher out here on the island, and she does special ed. She has 7 boys this year, and I was telling her that in education, they come up with a new, like the Common Core, which was a failure anyway, but they come up with the Common Core, and if they don't start seeing instantaneous results, a year later or 2 years later or 3 years later, they scrap it and they're going on to something else, which means a whole new set of textbooks, all that money wasted, and that's very common in education, because unless they see results on the standardized tests, they say everything is a failure. The teacher's a failure, the kids are a failure.
Right, and of course, it's no kid left behind anymore.
Well, you see, out here on the island, they very rarely hold anyone back. Okay.
Right.
In the city, you still have kids, or at least when I was still teaching, you still had kids that were retained. But you could only retain a kid once in elementary school, once in junior high school, or middle school. And then by the time they get to high school, you figure they're going to drop out, because they go by how many credits you have. And if you don't complete a certain number of credits, you can't graduate on time. So they end it themselves.
Right. It just amazes me, this work that they get. And keep in mind, she's only in 3rd grade. So, I mean, in 3rd grade, you should be learning, we've already learned how to add and subtract. You should be learning multiplying, division, and fractions. They haven't even taught her fractions yet.
So what are they teaching her?
They're teaching her how to break apart strategy to add. In other words, she gets a problem. For instance, there are more zoos in Germany than in any other country. At one time, there were 355 zoos in the United States and 414 zoos in Germany. How many zoos were there in the United States and Germany altogether? You can use the break-apart strategy to find sums. And they give you an example on how to break it down. You have to break the numbers down before you can even add them up.
I know. It adds an extra step to the problem, because in essence what you're doing is you're giving the answer in a mathematical sentence. You're not just coming up with a number.
Right. I mean, that was one thing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's adding
they're trying to prepare them for the real world. I mean, I can understand that. But with all honesty, do we really do this in the real world? No. We add the number. First of all, I use a calculator, whatever I do anyway. But I mean, I don't break apart the number to get the answer and then explain why I did it.
Well, maybe it's a good way of knowing how you're doing it, why you're doing it, not just doing it. Not just doing it because you know this is how you do it, but maybe you should understand why you do it.
But how are the parents supposed to help the child? If we were taught one way, we weren't taught the way they're taught. So when they come home with their work, it's like they have to teach us
Do you remember,
before we can help them.
Elisa, you remember the movie Peggy Sue, the day Peggy Sue got married?
Say that again?
It's an old movie from the 80s, the day Peggy Sue got married. She goes back in time.
Yeah.
Okay, it's almost like Back to the Future, but she goes back in time, and she's in her 9th grade math class learning algebra, and the teacher is trying to explain the importance of algebra and why they should learn it. She raises her hand and says, "Mr. So-and-so, I can tell you from personal experience, I will never use algebra again when I get it, as soon as I leave this class, because she's got the mind of an adult, but she's in the body of a 14 or 15-year-old now in the 9th grade, and she knows I'm never going to use this math." Oh my goodness, I've been on mute. You didn't hear a word I said, did you?
No, I heard everything you said.
Oh, you probably picked it up from Felix's mic, because I just realized I had this thing off.
You hear him better now?
I heard him fine. I mean, he did sound like he was far away, like I thought maybe he was in the kitchen making himself another cup of coffee, but I mean, I kind of heard him.
Yeah, well, basically, then, what she said was, I'm never going to use this stuff. And the thing is, think about the things, all the things you learn in school. There's so much that's extraneous, and you really never will use it. It's to make you a more well-rounded student, or a well-rounded adult, so that if you're in a group of people, you can carry on a conversation. I remember when I was hoping to go to medical school, we went to downstate medical school in Brooklyn, and the dean of admission was talking. We were high school students at the time, and he said, medical schools are getting away from people who are strictly science people. In medicine, he said, you have to know how to appreciate a beautiful piece of art, or how to discuss a sonata or music, or discuss politics. They just don't want somebody who only knows science.
Okay. Interesting. But you still have to know science.
Well, yes.
Yeah. In other words, they want a more rounded person.
Exactly.
But you still have to have your basics in science and stuff like that. It's tough. It's a tough course.
Well, you still need the 4 basic sciences. You still need bio, chemistry, physics, and biochemistry or whatever, inorganic chemistry, and then you learn the rest in medical school.
Hey, I figured that Chad should have called by now.
I'm telling you, he's listening to the Pope.
Did he call you this week?
Doesn't he do his Bible study class on Friday?
He might be. I know he does some of it.
Well, he mentioned something about that but that never stops him from calling us up. I don't know.
Maybe he gave up on us.
You see, now you said
Why?
that.
What did you guys do to him?
He's been trying to convert us to born again since he got on the show.
It's funny. I actually thought of him today because there was a knock on my door. And when I went to it, it was these 2 girls. And right away, I knew what they were trying to do. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. I just slammed the door in their face. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They got little kids now coming to the door.
Well, you
trying
see,
to
I
persuade you into their. I was like,
well,
oh, you
you
guys are
see,
kidding me.
I respect, like I respect Chad. I respect, their opinions for what they do because part of their religion is to do ministry, and that's
Well, I
all
mean,
they.
I let them talk. I let them talk for a few minutes. Don't get me wrong, but then after that, I was like, no, I gotta go. Folks on, can't talk to you right now.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a completely different concept of Jesus and God and all that. I think they pray on Saturdays also, don't they? Not on
Yes.
Sundays. And
They Saturdays. They don't believe. They don't celebrate Christmas. They don't celebrate in. They don't believe in giving gifts. Or no, I'm sorry. They don't believe in receiving gifts.
Then why do they take your contribution when they come to the door?
no,
Yeah, I know. But like, because there was a girl that I used to, when I worked in the promotional products company, there was a girl, she was so nice, really nice girl, and she was Jehovah's Witness, and my manager always gave out gifts to us on Christmas, and she would leave it on the desk, so in the morning, on Christmas Eve morning, you got it because she was never there. My manager, she always used to take off at that point and that start her vacation. So when I went over to my manager's desk, I saw the girl's gift there, and I was like, "What's going on? Why is her gift back on my manager's desk?" And she explained to me, "I don't accept gifts. It's against my religion to accept gifts." I was like, "Really?" I says, "I did not know that." And I don't think they celebrate birthdays, but I think it's more like a dedication.
I don't know.
Like again, I don't think they give gifts out, but they celebrate the life, like the gift of life or something. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to read about that one day and figure out what they do. Them and the Seventh Day
Have a 15-minute discussion on.
Jehovah Witnesses.
Yeah.
Them and the Seventh Day Evangelists. What are they called?
Seventh Day Adventist.
Adventists. They also celebrate.
Do you know that
They're also on Saturdays.
I watched a special on PBS on Jim Henson, and Jim Henson was a Seventh Day Adventist, and they said that growing up he never really saw doctors, he never got shots or anything, and they said when he died, had he gone to the hospital emergency room 2 hours earlier, all it would have taken was a shot of penicillin, and he could have lived.
Oh. I thought, okay, I wasn't sure that was them. They don't believe in doctors?
They don't believe in inoculations. No shots.
I think it's nothing foreign in your body.
I don't
Is that
believe in shots.
You don't believe in shots neither?
I'm being facetious because you know how I am when I have to get my shot.
Yeah, I know. If I were you, I wouldn't believe him, and I would tell the doctor, no, it's against my religion. Find a different way of administering this.
Yeah, there must
Well,
be a pill.
I'm actually gonna say something to him next month. I'm gonna say, listen, it's been when I see him, it'll be 55, probably 9 or 10 weeks since I've taken the shot. So I'm going to say to him, all right, come on. Don't you think it's enough now? Don't you think there's enough in my system to carry me on for the rest of my life? I mean, let's face it. Half my life, if you think about it, I've lived without knowing half my life that I even had this disease. And I was pretty fine. I mean, I had no symptoms, no nothing, up until maybe a year ago when I actually saw something and I brought it to the doctor's attention. Actually, I brought it to someone's attention, and that person told me, you better go to a doctor. And I was like, all right, I guess it's time to go to the doctor. But, I mean, if I have a longevity, like most of the people in my family do, then if I made it half my life without any kind of